The missing beginning. Look at a photo of yourself as a baby. That small face is yours. Those tiny hands are yours. That room, that blanket, that moment, it all belonged to your life. But you are not really there. You do not remember the air in the room. You do not remember the voice behind the camera. You do not remember what it felt like to be held, to cry, to wake up, to see the world before you even had words for it. You were alive for years before your first memory. So, where did that part of your life go? It is one of the strangest facts about being human. The beginning of your own story is missing. The false answer. And for a long time, the easy answer sounded simple. Babies do not remember because babies cannot make real memories. But that answer is probably too simple. Because your baby brain was never empty. It was learning faces, learning voices, learning comfort, learning fear, learning what the world felt like. So the mystery is not just why you forgot. The deeper mystery is this. What if some of your first memories were not erased, but simply became unreachable? The false answer when we think about memory, we usually imagine a camera. Something happens. The brain records it. Later, we press play. But memory is not a recording. It is reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the past using pieces, images, feelings, words, places, people, meaning. A memory is not only the event. It is the event, plus a path back to it. And this is where infancy becomes strange. A baby may experience the world intensely, but the systems needed to organize those experiences into a stable life story are still developing. A baby can learn. A baby can recognize. A baby can form expectations. But autobiographical memory is something more specific. It is not just, this happened. It is, this happened to me, in my life, in my past. That kind of memory needs more than sensation. It needs a brain that can bind details together. It needs language. It needs a sense of self. It needs time. And during the first years of life, all of those things are still under construction. Babies are not memoryless. Modern research suggests babies may form far more memories than we once believed. In brain imaging studies, infants show signs of encoding visual experiences. Their hippocampus, a deep brain structure linked to memory, becomes active when they see something and later recognize it. That does not mean babies remember like adults. A baby is not sitting there thinking, "Ah yes, this will become a useful childhood memory." But it does mean the old idea of the baby brain as a blank slate is wrong. Your early brain was doing something extraordinary. It was building a model of the world. This face is safe. This voice matters. This sound means food. This smell means comfort. This pattern keeps happening. Before you had stories, you had patterns. Before you had memories you could describe, you had experiences shaping the nervous system itself. So why do they disappear? Maybe because the brain that formed them is not the same brain trying to retrieve them later. Memory is access. Just imagine writing a file on an old computer. The file exists. But years later, the operating system has changed. The folders are different. The software no longer opens that format. The file may still exist in some form, but you cannot reach it the normal way anymore. Something similar may happen with early memory. The infant brain changes rapidly. New connections form. Old pathways are reshaped. Memory systems continue maturing. This is not failure. This is development. A baby brain is not designed to preserve a perfect documentary of early life. It is designed to adapt fast. It has to learn bodies, faces, language, movement, danger, attachment, the basic rules of reality itself. And that speed comes with a trade-off. The brain is building the house while living inside it. And when the structure changes enough, the earliest rooms become difficult to find. So infantile amnesia may not be a simple failure of memory. It may be the cost of a brain growing too quickly to preserve everything in adult form. The missing eye. But brain development is only part of the story. There is another missing piece. You. Not your body, not your brain, but the you who can tell a story about yourself. Autobiographical memory needs a narrator. To remember something as part of your life, you need a sense that there is a continuous self moving through time. A baby has experiences. A toddler has emotions. A young child has moments. But the full idea of, this happened to me yesterday and I can tell you about it today, that develops slowly. Language changes everything. Words do not just describe memories, they organize them. When a child can say, "I went to the park with my mother," the event becomes easier to store as a story. There is a person. There is a place. There is a sequence. There is meaning. And parents help build this system too. When they ask, "Do you remember when we went there? What did you see? How did you feel?" They are doing more than talking. They are teaching the child how to turn experience into memory. This is why your first clear memories often appear around the same time your language and self-awareness become stronger. Not because nothing happened before, but because before that, your life had not yet become a story you could tell. Forgotten does not mean meaningless. This is where the mystery becomes deeply human. If you cannot remember your first years, were they still important? Yes, but not always in the way people imagine. Your baby years may never survive as clear scenes. You may never remember the exact morning you first recognized your mother's face, or the first time a room felt safe, or the first time the world surprised you. But early life still shapes the brain through learning, emotion, attachment, expectation. Not like a neat movie, more like roots underground. You cannot see them when you look at the tree, but they help decide how the tree grew. This does not mean every adult problem comes from one hidden baby memory. That is too simple. And it does not mean your lost memories are sitting somewhere perfectly preserved, waiting to be unlocked. That is also too simple. The truth is more subtle. Early experiences can matter without becoming conscious memories. They can shape what feels familiar, what feels safe, what draws your attention, what your brain expects from other people. Your first years may be missing from your autobiography, but they are not missing from your development. The big picture. So why can't you remember being a baby? Not because those years were empty, not because your brain was switched off, and not because memory is simply a camera that failed to record. You cannot remember being a baby because memory is more than experience. It is experience, organized by a developing brain, held together by language, anchored to a sense of self, and made accessible by systems that were still being built. Your earliest life happened before the adult version of you had fully arrived to claim it. That is the strange truth. The first version of you lived, felt, learned, changed, but it did not yet know how to become a story. So when you look at a baby photo of yourself, you are looking at someone both familiar and unreachable. A person who became you, without ever being fully remembered by you. And maybe that is what makes the beginning of life so mysterious. We are shaped before we can explain. We are changed before we can remember. And long before we know who we are, the brain is already building the person we will become.